Today we go over a very rare gambit that hardly any chess players out there know about. Okay, so you're really going to be taking your opponents by surprise. And on top of that, this is highly underrated. This gambit is sound. When you play it, even if your opponent accepts the gambit, the Spielmann Gambit that is, the engine still says that white is better. And that's pretty rare, right? If you think about certain gambits out there, the Budapest Gambit, the England Gambit, the Stafford Gambit, all these kind of gambits out there, right? Even the King's Gambit, you give up eval. But in this gambit, you still have an edge as the white side, no matter what your opponent does. And that's a lot of fun. So let's start out with this move e4. Okay, now you can get this gambit by playing knight c3 with the Van Geet opening to start. But let's see this move e4. How can you reach this with the move e4? We can actually get it potentially against both the Alekhine's defense and the Scandi. Either one. First off, the Alekhine's defense. Not all of us, including myself, like playing e5. This plays into black's prep. They're going to know what to do. This is what they want us to do. Let's play this move knight to c3, and this puts them into a tough spot. Sure, you can play d6, but then you're in a Pierce. Does black know how to play the Pierce defense well? Who knows? Probably not, is my guess. Your opponent can play this move e5. But then, you have a lot of options there, including playing the move of f4, putting them into a Vienna Gambit, a position that they can very easily mess up. And okay, let's now cover this move d5. This is still the Alekhine's defense, but now the Scandinavian variation. A lot of Alekhine's defense players probably do play this move of d5, and you probably will see it quite a bit just based on the fact that they do, have an initial response against this move knight to c3. And in this case, we can take on d5. We can also push to e5, and after knight fd7, we can now play the very rare but dangerous move of pawn to e6. This is the Spielmann Gambit. Big fan of it. Whether black takes or not, we still have an edge. Now, the other way you can see it, again, is the Scandinavian defense, in which case we can play this move knight c3. I just released an over 4-hour course on this, on how to play the move knight c3 against the Scandinavian defense. And there's so many fun lines here, including seeing this move knight f6. I cover this position in depth in my course. And by the way, if you're interested in the 30% off discount code, all you got to do, go down the link below, go down to the description, plug in the discount code 2024, and you will receive 30% off on that course, as long as you plug 2024 in before we hit the year of 2025. So, okay, we see this move knight f6 in the course. I cover taking. I also cover this move of e5. Right, again, this is a transposition. Whether black play the Alekhines and then this, or the Scandi and then knight f6, we transpose into the same position. You can play e5. Here, there's only really three moves for black that are good: d4, knight e4, and knight back to d7. If you do see knight back to d7, you can play e6, and this is just so much fun. Now, sure, black doesn't have to take. Black doesn't have to take, but this isn't good for them. I mean, we're going to take on f7. You have a king on f7. We can play d4. This is a hole. For the rest of this game, no pawns for black can attack/defend that square. And this knight on g1 is eyeing that spot intentionally with a purpose. If a move like e6, let's play knight f3. If bishop d6, you can't play bishop d3, but rook e8, and maybe black's going to be able to slow castle/manual castle here, right? Whole idea being they get the rook out, then they bring their king back. So if I do see the move bishop d6, again, we just played knight f3. I just throw my knight right in there, throwing a check. If the king does go back to one of those spots, the rook on h8 still feels awkward. And if black takes, let's capture back with the pawn. Here you can play a move like queen f3 check and then queen g3, or you can go queen h5 check first. If the king wants to run back to g8 or something, bishop g5 is great, getting more tempo, getting more attacking chess in. And if g6, you can still throw in a check, queen g3. I kind of like this move order more a little bit, just because by throwing in a check there, g6, and that really weakens black's dark squares even more than they already were. And let's say black takes. This is the best move, right? Again, we still have an objectively better position. I use this gambit to get a near +2 advantage against Hikaru Nakamura in a bullet game. And of course I lost because, I messed up, but this gambit does have a lot of potential. I've been having a lot of fun with it, and it does perform well when you do it the right way. So in this case, I recommend the move d4. Knight f3 works as well, but I like d4, just really targeting e5 and c5, mainly e5 there. And you guys, this is one of those gambits where we don't want to just sit there and go, you know what, I'm going to try to win the game in 7-8 moves. This is not one of those gambits. This is not one of those tricky, trappy gambits per se, or we're just going for, cheap little tricks and hoping that they fall for something. This is a gambit where we have a positional advantage. Number one, e5. This is a hole. Again, no black pawns can ever defend that square. Number two, this pawn on e6 is backwards, and it feels isolated. It's not, but this pawn feels very weak. It's making this bishop on c8 terrible. And by having that pawn on e6, the pawn on e7 cannot move, which means the bishop can't develop in a normal kind of fashion. Let's say we see a move like g6. Let's start hurling down our h-pawn. Play a move like h4. If you see knight f6, we can play h5 anyways. If g takes h5, bishop e2, really targeting that pawn, looking to capture back, check the king, all that kind of fun stuff. And if the knight captures back, let's just take with the rook. We're winning this position, guys. It's only move 8, and we're winning. If you take with the pawn, queen takes h5 with check. And here, this is a line that you want to memorize. You can take on d5 with the knight. Capture on d5, break the center open. If black wants to take back, you can throw in a check, throw in another one, then play knight f3. Right? A lot of players there in that kind of position, they just play knight f3 right now. Take first, check, go back, then play knight f3. And this is very dangerous. In fact, this is just completely winning. You could plug it into the engine, see what the engine says, but we're looking at, +3, +4, +5, and beyond, depending on what black does. Resignable for black. Okay. Going back to this move d4. Let's say black goes, you know what, my bishop can't develop, and I'm just going to live with that. I'm not going to play g6 because that makes that pawn a target, which, by the way, you will see g6 all the time. And we see the move c5. In this case, you can take the pawn. If a move like knight takes c5, you can play knight f3, just continue to keep developing your pieces. Again, e5 is very weak. And, the moment you see something like g6 in this kind of position, sure, h4, we still have a slight edge, but even better is this move of queen to d4. Attacking the knight, attacking the rook. You can save one, but you know what I'm going to say? You can't save both. You can't do it, right? So, when we take on c5 there's different things that we can see. Again, if knight takes c5, just keep developing and look out for g6 there, which can give you a little queen d4 idea. Let's say we see the move knight c6. All right, we play knight f3, and if g6, we can play bishop b5, putting pressure on that minor piece, right? That's a very solid way to play this kind of position. Another way that you can play this kind of position is by playing knight to d4. This is a good way to do it. But if you like bishop b5 there, notice that if a move like knight takes c5, queen d4 still works. This is still a completely winning position for us now. So bishop b5 there is definitely quite a bit of fun. If you see something like bishop g7, you just got to keep developing. Maybe something like bishop e3. The engine here is looking at this move of knight d4 though. Knight d4, attacking the knight. More importantly though, attacking this pawn on e6. All right, black's got to be very careful about that. And just for example, let's say we see something like knight f6. All right, we can now pin the knight on c6, double attacking it, and black's just in a tough spot at the end of the day. You can play bishop d7, but your dark squares are extremely weak. This pawn on e6 is a huge target, and black's up a pawn. But even the engine here is like, who cares? At some point, this pawn on e6 is just not going to make it. That's just how this is going to go, right? So, yeah, we go back to this move of d4. Again, if you see g6, right, as highlighted, push that h-pawn like crazy. If you see the move c5, you can capture back, right? That's totally fine. Obviously, a pawn doesn't take like that. Learn how to draw an arrow, Solomon. Take like so. Let's say we see a move like knight f6. What do we do in this kind of position, right? Well, in this case, you can play bishop f4. Just really stake down that e5 spot. If you see g6, oh, okay. You see g6, time to push the h-pawn. Time to start pushing that pawn like crazy. h5 here, break this position open. If the g-pawn takes, in this case, bishop e2 isn't super dangerous just because of castling kingside, but here you can play knight b5 looking towards winning that pawn on c7, and that can be very good for us. And let's say black goes, you know what, I'm going to defend that pawn. I don't want to lose my pawn. I don't want to lose the rook, all that kind of stuff. All right, we can now take on h5 with the rook. Such a fun position. Look at this for the white side. We're only down one pawn, and look at the development, the activity, the attacking chances that we have. If black takes, we take back with the queen. And whether this king goes to f8 or d7, we're going to play this move knight f3. Like, for example, if king f8, we can play knight f3. The queen wants to trade. We're not trading down here. We're down material, and we're trying to attack. So let's play queen h2. If a move like c6, throw a knight in there. We don't even care if black ends up taking this knight because we have this idea of bishop to h6. If they capture on e5, bishop takes back, this king is in major trouble. Just not a lot of good defense for that king. And if the rook tries to save itself, for example, check, the king moves, check again. You only got one move, game over. Beautiful mate for the white side of move 18. Going back, if knight takes h5, we're still taking with the rook. Same kind of idea, right? If g takes, we can throw in a check again. Again, if king f8, we can throw in knight b5. We can play knight f3 here. Oh, we've seen this position before. Queen h2. If the pawn, this kind of idea before, if the pawn goes to c6, we can end up going with the move of knight to e5. And again, right, if black does take on b5, we have bishop h6. Black here is just in major trouble. We're looking towards queen f4 ideas. Yeah, I mean, this is just bad. I mean, for example, if something like bishop d7, queen f4 there is a good move, right? That's a winning move, followed by queen g4, putting more pressure on that bishop. The engine move here is actually playing bishop takes b5 and then playing queen to f4 there, right? Bishop takes, and then once the bishop captures back, we have queen f4, king moves over, queen g4. If the queen tries to hang on to everything, now we see the point of taking on b5, the bishop left. We can capture on e6, and this game's about to be over, right? So that's one way that you can play that. And on top of that, I mean, even a move like castling queenside, this is a great idea. You have a lot of attacking chances there, including just a very simple rook lift up to d3 and f3, going after that king. I mean, black's in major trouble here. If a move like king d7, we can take on d5, right? We can take on d5. The moment you see that, there's a lot of similar ideas here with capturing back with the knight. And in this case, if e takes d5, we should actually throw in a check. And this gambit does require some memorization, but once you memorize these lines shown in this video, and by the way, I do offer PGNs for my Patreon supporters along with every video. So if you do become a Patreon supporter, you will get access to those PGNs for all upcoming videos. We throw in a check, right? And yeah, I mean, what are you going to do? King e6, your king's leading the charge. If c6, we can throw in a check on g4 and just snatch off this bishop on g7. The rook is hanging. If a move like rook f8, let's just go threaten it again. If you save your rook, then let's save our bishop. This is just completely losing for the black side. We are down material still, so we got to be a little bit careful. But if you play this correctly, you will win this from the white side. Such a dangerous gambit for the white side. Again, you could see it against the Alekhines. If you see this move of knight f6, you play knight c3, d5, e5. If the knight goes back, you're not going to let black play e6 there. You're going to play e6. You're going to play d4. You're going to put them into a spot where it's hard to develop their pieces. That bishop on f8 cannot develop very easily. If you see g6, blast that h-pawn. If you see black try to develop their light squared bishop, well, how the heck are they going to do that? Fianchetto it on b7 to a square that's very not active, like at all, inactive at all. So yeah, I mean, just a very fun gambit. Let me know what you think down below of the Spielmann Gambit. I'm a big fan of it. And again, there's different ways that you can get it. You can also play this move of knight c3. I play this sometimes trying to get this gambit, right? Because d5 here, play nearly half of the time in online chess. I can now play e4, which transposes me right into my knight c3 against the Scandinavian defense course type position. And that's great. That's great for us, right? We attack the pawn. If you see d4, we can swing our knight over to g3. We've actually seen Hikaru Nakamura do this quite a bit in online chess. If black takes, I really like this gambit, the dense Pehonnet with d3. And if knight f6, you have e5. And if black just goes back to d7, e6. Such a fun gambit. Such a fun attacking system for the white side. I'll see you on the next one. Guys, I hope y'all enjoyed today's video. And just a quick reminder that in addition to the 30% off all online courses sale this month, we wanted to also give a 20% off sale on our physical merch all December. We got shirts, hoodies, mugs, and more on the merch shelf below. And we got a lot more on the website. So check them out and use the code WINTER20 for 20% off. On top of that, I wanted to give a big shout out to my Patreon supporters for the month of December in 2024. I appreciate you guys a ton. It's been great getting to know you. And yeah, I'm just humbled by your support. And if you guys haven't thought about joining the Patreon community before, there's some exclusive benefits that you gain by becoming a member. And I look forward to seeing you over there on the platform. Peace.